Good morning. I'm Pastor Allen. Today is our daily Bible reading for Tuesday, October 26th, and I'm glad that you joined us. Today's reading is taken from 1 Samuel chapter 16, verses 14 through 23. And it is all about when David becomes part of Saul's court. He becomes a court musician. Beginning in verse 14. Now the Spirit of the Lord had left Saul, and an evil spirit sent from the Lord began to torment him. So Saul's servant said to him, "You see that an evil spirit from God is tormenting you. Let our Lord command your servants here in your presence to look for someone who knows how to play the harp. Whenever the evil spirit from God comes on you, that person can play the harp, and you will feel better." Then Saul commanded his servants, "Find me someone who plays well and bring him to me." One of the young men answered, "I have seen a son of Jesse of Bethlehem who knows how to play the harp. He is also a valiant man, a warrior, eloquent, handsome, and the Lord is with him." Then Saul dispatched messengers to Jesse and said, "Send me your son David, who is with the sheep." So Jesse took a donkey loaded with bread, a wineskin, and one young goat, and sent him by his son David to Saul. When David came to Saul and entered his service, Saul loved him very much, and David became his armor bearer. Then Saul sent word to Jesse, "Let David remain in my service, for he has found favor with me." Whenever the spirit from God came on Saul, David would pick up his harp and play, and Saul would then be relieved, feel better, and the evil spirit would leave him. I hesitated on verse 23 because it's interesting. It says, whenever the spirit came from God. And that's true. Nothing can happen to us. Nothing happens to us without God knowing it. And sometimes God permits things to happen that we don't always understand. And this is one of them. But verse 14 says, the Spirit of the Lord had left Saul, and an evil spirit sent from the Lord began to torment him. It's said that nature abhors a vacuum. In other words, something has to fill an empty space. And if the Spirit of God isn't there, then the only alternative is an evil spirit. We find that in the New Testament where Jesus talked about the man who was cleansed of all the evil spirits, but did not put his house in order, and the evil spirits returned, and his problems were worse. So here Saul is being tormented by an evil spirit. And the only thing that helps is music. And we know this to be true. You know, you've probably heard the quote, you may have even said it, "Music soothes the savage beast." And you know, that's a misquote. I've said it that way, but I've misquoted it because that's not the actual quote. William Congreve, who wrote it as a poet and a playwright, the actual quote goes like this: "Music has charms to soothe a savage breast, to soften rocks or bend a knotted oak." And the quote comes from a poem titled "The Mourning Bride." Not mourning as in sunrise, but grieving mourning bride. And it was written all the way back in 1697. Well, most of us know the effect that music has on us. It can boost your memories. It can help us to complete tasks. It can reduce anxiety and depression, and that's what we see here. The evil spirit causing problems for Saul, and we see the music helping Saul. It helps with lessening pain, and for us modern people with our smartphones and music players, it helps you to work out better and more effectively. Part of this is difficult to understand. This passage raises, I think, more questions than it does answers. But if we focus on God, as David did, and as Saul forgot to do, great things will come. We need to trust God, depend on Him, and if music helps us to focus on God, then so be it. I mean, we sing hymns in church, we sing praise choruses, and those things help us to worship God, to put our thoughts, to put our words, and to help us to look heavenwards towards God. And I hope that that's what you'll do today and every day, because only good things will come of it. Have a great Tuesday, and we'll talk to you later.